And welcome to another live stream with me, Christian Rauchenwald, and with that to another episode of Daily Market Mastery. Sorry that I'm a few minutes late. I actually scheduled the stream and was scheduling another stream that I had to delete, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, before we jump into anything, as usual, let's get the usual disclaimer out of the way. Everything that I share in this live stream / video is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. Now, with that said, today is probably also going to be a shorter live stream. There hasn't been much movement. We're going to cover what happened with our predictions for GameStop from yesterday. So if it played out like this or not. Additionally, if you are a GameStop shareholder, you might want to join the GameStop shareholder meeting that you can sign up or join on the link or at the link that I shared just in the chat. So can I show it? Yeah. So it starts in 1 hour and 40 minutes. So 5 p.m. German time, 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Pretty much a little bit less than 2 hours. So if you want to check that out, check that out. I wanted to stream that. Obviously, it would be nice to join the meeting together and discuss what's shared during the meeting and so on. But unfortunately, I noticed, or I've been told, and thankfully I've been told, that the rules of conduct prohibit any kind of live streaming or recording. I think recording is also on the list of things that are not allowed. I'm gonna double check real quick, yeah. So rules of conduct, electronic recording and live streaming of the meeting is strictly prohibited. Yeah, not sure what would happen if you do it, to be honest. Yeah, but it's not worth it. So if GameStop doesn't want the meeting to be spread outside of their own meeting room, which some people have had issues joining because their control numbers that they need didn't work for them. So to join, there is a number of guest slots that you can pick. But you can also log in with your control number. So just look for an email that you got when it was the last time to vote for GameStop. And in that email, you will find the control number. And with that control number, you should be able to log in. I've seen a few posts already from people that weren't able to log in with the control numbers that they received from their regular brokers. But with the control numbers that you got from ComputerShare, assuming you also held some shares there, you should have no problem whatsoever. Now, that said, I think we've covered pretty much everything. As usual, for everyone that's new to the stream, you can find all the tools and resources that I'm using and or used in the past, so like that I consider valuable, down in the description below. So the charting software I'm using, the broker I'm using, where you can grab a copy of the Elliott Wave principle or read it online for free and so on. Option Strat, so the tool that I'm using to evaluate options better. So everything is linked down below. And with that, I'm going to share my screen and we'll actually look into the chart. Now, yesterday, things played out pretty much like expected, or like mostly as expected. So yesterday we had our stream around here, and the expectation was that this here, that's a 15-minute chart, by the way, of GameStop, so that this here is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we get wave 5. And for wave 5, we usually expect that when we take an expansion from point 2 to point 3 to point 4, that wave 5 at least reaches the 61.8 expansion, and at most, in quotes, the second profit target would be the 100%. I actually thought it would go up higher, and I had sell orders for my put option, or actually buy orders to buy to close, so PTC, so to buy them back at a point that I would, or at a price that I would have thought we'll reach if we go up here. However, we just touched the 61.8, and from there then made our turnaround. Here we now retraced almost perfect 78.6%. Now it's hard to see an ABC pattern in there. It's just as hard as it was like to find it in here. But I assume that this is our wave A, so 5 waves down, A, B, so wave B. And then our wave C should be this part here, either till here or till here, which means from here, potentially we could, or are likely are in the next wave 1, 2, and 3. So if that's wave 1, so what's lower here actually, that one's 2480, and here we have 2488, 83. Yeah. So basically from here we would have the start of that wave, and potentially it then goes till which one is higher here? 98. So that one. So that would be our wave 1. That could be already our wave 2, or it could only be wave A, B, and now we still get wave C, which would bring us down a little bit more. And then from there we would go up. Now, since that's already happened and hit the minimum target that we specified, we can now remove this here. And since that retracement looks like it's finished with ABC, we also can remove this here. Instead of removing it, we'll quickly move it here to just get a better idea. So here we touch the 61.8 retracement, which is, it's very surprising that very often when we have a 5-wave movement up, so like a third wave, for example, let's bring that back for a second. If we, for example, look at that third wave here, we see that we precisely turn around on the 50% retracement. So we have one candle that goes down here, touches it, and here again, barely touching or getting very close to it. So like very often when we see retracements, they turn around at 38.2, 50, 61.8, or in rarer cases, 78.6. Now it's not guaranteed. It's not like when there's an upward movement, you just put a retracement in there and you bet your house on 38.2 or so. There are obviously exceptions and so on. So, but it's probable, or in many cases, that's the turnaround point that we get. Now here is said we turned around at the 61.8. So 61.8, we touched it here, which stands to reason, or which makes it possible that this is already the correction. And here we have the next small 1, 2, 3 in development, which actually means, or makes me believe, that today we'll have a bullish day, which means if that's our next wave 1, 2, then we would now be, for that we'll have to zoom out a little bit. So we would have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which becomes wave 1, 2. And then here we have wave 1, 2. And then in that small area that we just looked at, we have wave 1, 2. So we're in the third wave of a third wave of a third wave. Yeah. So actually expecting strong movement. Now, usually the most common extension that we reach, if we take the starting point and from there go to wave point 1, we usually, but not always, yeah, so like again, we're talking about probable things and not about guaranteed things here, reach the 261.8 extension level. So it would be wave 1, wave 2, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 5 waves up, usually till here. Considering that we're in a third wave of a third wave of a third wave, it could be stronger movement, and with that the upper extension levels become relevant. We'll see how it plays out, but overall I'd expect so 2 possible scenarios. Scenario 1, this correction here is actually not A, B, C and finished, but it's only wave A, wave B, and wave C is still coming, although wave C could not go lower than what do we have here, than 2279, because otherwise the whole pattern would become invalid. So I consider that unlikely, especially since we bounced here on the 78.6 retracement level quite nicely. So the more likely scenario would be that, as I said, we have here our correction finished and are now in 1, 2, 3. For the market open, there are 2 scenarios. Either this here is already the correction for this 1, 2, so that's already the entire wave 2, or wave 2 is not finished yet, which means 1, A, B, C. We would get a little lower. I don't know, 50, 25 or so briefly, and then from there start our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So either, I mean, it sounds a little bit ridiculous, either we go up or we go down, yeah, but the core difference is, like, based on the pattern, if we were to go down, we would only go down like by $1 or $2 and then go up. And if this is already our wave 2, then we pretty much would just go up. I mean, again, in 5 waves, which means wave up, short retracement, wave up, short retracement, and a final wave up to finish wave 3. Again, probably at the $30 or $31 mark. That's the most likely candidate for such a turnaround point. But considering that we are in a third wave of a third wave of a third wave, it's possible that we'll push through here. Now, for my options, that just means, so for the put options that I have that expire tomorrow, that there is no point in selling them anymore. Yeah. So if I'm not sure what's the current price. Oh, that one is actually currently at a loss because we're below 30. So that one will get into the money today, in my opinion. So we'll reach above 30. And even if we're in a wave 4 go down by tomorrow, we should be nicely above 30 again. So those options should be out of the money, which means I just pocket the premium and don't get the shares, which I'm kind of a little sad about. But that's how it looks like, to me at least. And my $25 put options are out of the money, but it's not, if I hold them till the end of tomorrow, I actually pocket $300 or $600 almost total, since I sold 2 of them, compared to if I sell them now, I only get $100. So it just makes sense to keep them a day longer. Yeah. If yesterday would have played out a little differently, and instead of just reaching the 61.8 expansion, but we actually would have gotten closer to the 100% expansion, then I could have probably closed them yesterday and sold the same ones today for more money. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be. And to be fair, if we finish the week above 30, making a total of $3,000, so 4 times the 600 plus the 600 from here, so a total of almost exactly $3,000 in premiums in a week on a what used to be 10,500 euro portfolio just 3 weeks ago is definitely not bad. And then we'll have to adjust and see what we'll play next, or what we do next in terms of GameStop as far as options go. Yeah, so that's about GameStop. Now, other than that, yeah, I still have a bunch of, let's call it like gamble positions, so in smaller stocks that either might have short squeeze potential or not. Many of those are not going that well, but however, the investments in those stocks are also quite low. 2 of them actually had reverse splits. So we have GWAF, Green Wave Technology, that had a reverse split and basically reduced my share count to 6 or so, 6.6667. So yesterday I added 3.3333 shares to it to have a nice even 10. It annoyed me more than it should have that it was 6.6667. But either way, we now have like $91 invested there and are down 67. So yeah, but it's not a huge sum. So either the company manages at some point a turnaround. I will look further into them at some point, but either there's some kind of turnaround and we'll like see what happens and it recovers or it doesn't. Now, Barnes & Noble's Education, quite interesting. They actually also had a reverse split. And I'm not sure if I added there already, but point is, like, their chart still looks horrible, but they had quite some good news in terms of having a new CEO and a few other things that went in their favor. Restructuring their debt and so on. Not saying that this is something, you have to invest in that and whatnot. Just a second, I have to update some window on the side. We need there, that link goes there. Okay. And then back we go here, and check if it's working. Yeah, it's working. Yeah. So so not saying, hey, you should invest into that thing or so, but reset. Okay, that's already scaled. Yeah, but they had some positive news, so it stands to reason that they have a chance, so that there is some potential for them to actually recover. And again, my position in there is with $91 or $92, ridiculously small. So even if they eventually get delisted or so, nobody really cares. Also, that was Barnes & Noble. There my position is actually $143. So same thing, it's not a huge amount. We have $49 in NEO. NEO, I think, will, from the pattern, we covered it. I mean, it will take some time to play out because we usually look at bigger charts. Okay, looks like my hourly chart analysis got it a little bit wrong. So we shot through the target here, which actually means NEO will have further downside for now. So okay, we'll have to tackle that one real quick. We can also quickly check GameStop, what it's doing at market open. On first glance, it looked like we'll get our wave 3 now. So again, like, next target would be, minimum target would be here, 27.89 to 28.46, but usually the 2.68 extension level is the one where the wave 3 will bounce. We'll see if that happens. However, quickly back to NEO. So there actually, let's let the auto labeling do some magic. That's from April 22nd. Let's zoom out a little bit to make sure. Yeah, April 22nd. So go in again, 4 hours. Okay, and then 24, April 19. There we go. So auto labeling would suggest that this is wave 1 and wave 2 finished here. Now, I was more focused on this movement here, which was probably the mistake. So might be that we're actually done and there is not more downside. And I just had it mislabeled on the smaller scale. Yeah, I mean, we perfectly bounce. So whenever we have a wave A, B, C in a perfect ABC pattern, wave C is exactly the same distance as wave A, which would be the 100% expansion here. And we can see that we perfectly bounce on that level. However, it's possible for a second wave to reach even the 161.8. There are even some cases where it goes further. However, in that case, that's highly unlikely because if we go below that starting point here, so below 3.61, the pattern becomes invalid, then it would be a sell. Now, so far it looks like that will be our ABC, like the auto labeling has it labeled. We can also double check, as I shared earlier, retracement levels are quite accurate very often. In this case, not so much. So we see we turn around a little bit below the 61.8 retracement. However, again, whenever we have 5 waves up and then see an ABC developing, then it's like likely that it will turn around either 38.2, 50, 61.8, or in some cases 78.6. In this case, we see if we would have made an entry at the 50% retracement, it actually would have not been the end of the correction, but it would have been possible that this would be A, B, C, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, in order for the pattern to be valid, this has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in some way. That's hard to spot here on that chart. This has to be ABC, and that's then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a wave C. So possible that we actually have our low now here, and from here we'll then see our next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 develop over the next couple of months for a new high above the $6 mark. So in that case, if we zoom out, so just to do what we did before, if that pattern holds true, that's always the important part here, then based on probability or the most likely scenarios, we would actually expect that we get to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to actually see NEO go back to the $12 to $14 mark. The harder part is estimating the time frame. I mean, here we're looking from April, May till June, so for 2 months. So we probably would expect, yeah, like way more than 2 months, but within a year. Yeah. So, but I might be off on that because estimating the times is way harder than coming up with the price targets. Yeah. So NEO for me, bullish signal. Theoretically, it could go lower, but considering the risk reward ratio, so our trade becomes invalid at 371, so or 361. That's where we would have to set our stop loss, which is like 25% risk roughly. Whereas on the upside, the minimum target for the third wave would already be in the 750 to 850 range, which is, yeah, like 90% upside minimum. And the probable target is actually almost 300% to, yeah, a little bit 250 to 300% upside. So NEO definitely, for me at least, a buy. But again, that's just my opinion, not financial advice. You do what you think is right. But I think my few NEO shares are good. And as soon as we see a little bit of confirmation that we actually start moving away from here, I probably will add more money to NEO or get some leaps, so long dated options. To make that play. And yeah, so that about NEO. Okay, what else is moving in our favor? My UBS options are still moving in favor, yeah, so that we're gonna keep an eye on. So again, I thought that UBS will drop. I actually thought that GameStop might be the trigger, but it's not. Now the question, however, is how that pattern will turn out. So it's possible that we have the full wave pattern finished here and that we're actually correcting something bigger. So, I mean, we can see that we have, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wave 2. It's hard to label that, to be honest. Either way, by my expectation, as said, we finished a wave here. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and should get a correction here. Now the question is, how far will we correct here? And at which point it makes sense to sell those options. If I'm right, we still have a little bit room down. Question is if I don't just take the profit or if I let them run in the hope or assumption. Hope is always bad in trading, but in the hope or assumption that we'll actually get a bigger correction. Let's look at them. Okay, monthly. Even on a monthly chart, we can see a pattern. So I'm not sure if that's a fluke, probably not, but 1, 2, 3, 4, that could be wave 5. However, if that's wave 5, then we would have the next 1, 2, and then that wave 3 might not be finished, so there might still be room up. Or if we use an expansion, we're gonna ignore that point here, so, and if that's indeed 1, 2, we actually are at the 100% target, so which means we would potentially, we can go higher, but we would potentially expect to correct that entire thing. And if we correct that entire thing, we actually would expect for UBS to, yeah, let's take this point, to go down to $18, so to still drop quite substantially. Although not, my options expire next Friday, so yeah, like will not happen to get there most likely, but still should be, yeah, should end up in profit, so no point in considering closing them. So those UBS options that I paid 376, I think, Swiss francs for, and that are now, yeah, 345 in profit. Now, what else do we have? Yeah, the FIBE puts, we already covered them, long and, or yeah, like enough. The grab call option, it's long term, so we're not going to go into it today. And immersion, PUD, CRKN, Crown Electrokinetics, yeah. So, I mean, there are only small positions, so question will be, will this turn out to be some kind of 1, 2 and we'll get our wave 3, or will we just slowly move lower here? Yeah, we can only, a stop loss would make sense here only at the low at 3.98 cents, so let's say 4 cents. And at that point, I might as well hold those shares, because like at 4 cents, how many shares do we have there? 1,000 shares. Yeah, like it's not worth selling them. So, and yeah, with that, we covered, I think, all of it. Today seems to be a green day. Question will be mostly obviously about GameStop, how it will perform in terms of following our, or my prediction in that case. So again, we don't have the waves labeled here, yeah. So, okay, now the loading will start. Yeah, so that my assumption, we have 5 waves here. That's our wave 2, and now we get our wave 3 up. And from that small wave, the target would be this at the $30 mark. However, we also can, and for that we probably, maybe 30 minutes is enough, yeah. So that retracement we don't need anymore. So from this wave here, let's drag that back. So while we here would expect 1, 2, 3 till around the $30 mark, 4, 5 to finish this wave 1, then we get a wave 2, and then we get another wave 3, 4, 5, and so on. From that bigger pattern here, 1, 2, where again we're waiting for 5 waves to finish up here, we actually would have the next target at the $57 to $63 mark. Yeah. Now, that won't happen today, in my opinion. It could if there is some catalyst to it, but I'd expect it to play out. Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, not super slow not slow in comparison to other stocks, because obviously there is more volatility in GameStop. But yeah, if I'm right, we see the $60 mark in the not too far future. I mean, considering we're on a 30-minute chart here, that here happened within 1 day. So within the next couple of days, we actually should manage to play out the wave pattern to get us potentially up here in the $57 to $60 mark. And that will then finish 1, 2, 3. Then we get wave 4, then we get wave 5. That will then finish this third wave. That should potentially be even higher. And yeah, so that's what we're waiting for. Yeah, if there are no questions, I think we've covered everything for today. So our prediction from yesterday happened, although we unfortunately only reached the minimum target. But still nice to see that the pattern played out the way we expected to. And it's going to be interesting to see if we are also right with the bigger pattern. So the worst thing that can happen, just to point out, like in terms of pattern, the worst thing that could happen would be that is actually not a correctional wave down here. So we're looking at the 4-hour chart right now, but this is only, or I mean that it's only part of the correctional wave. Then this would be A, B, and we still have to get wave C, but we could not go lower than 1770, because if we were to go lower than 1770, the whole pattern becomes invalid. Then then I made a mistake somewhere that I just don't see right now. Yeah. So the way things look, if we go below, what did we have here, 22.79, then this pattern part here becomes invalid, so the last 2 days, and the whole thing here would need to be a bigger correction that, however, couldn't go below 1770. And if it goes, if that were to happen and it actually goes below 1770, then that whole thing would need to be some big corrective pattern, so like A, B, and then wave C. However, I consider that very unlikely because we clearly can see a 5-wave pattern up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and corrective patterns. So if that would be A, B, C, then this would be a corrective wave that corrects wave A, and corrective patterns always are multiples of 3. So A, B, C, or double zigzags, or A, B, C, A, B, C. So it's either 3 waves, 6 waves, 9 waves, or something like that. 3 waves in terms of, so A, B, C, but here we clearly have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, since there are no questions, I'm going to say that's it for today. Don't forget, in 1 hour and 15 minutes is the GameStop shareholder meeting. You can check the link in the chat to join that meeting. And it's going to be interesting to see how it affects the stock. I'm going to obviously keep an eye on the movements. Yeah. If something, I don't know, like substantial should happen. Yeah, if we shoot above the $31 mark, so if we were to shoot through our target here, then I probably would come online again, although only after the shareholder meeting is over. And other than that, there will be no live stream tomorrow because I have something else planned. With that, or there is not one at market open. There might be one if it's worth it. So if there was some substantial movement, there might be one tomorrow after market open at some point. And other than that, next live stream is potentially on Monday. Don't forget, like, subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss out on the live stream. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you all soon in a live stream. Till then, bye-bye.